Have you ever found yourself angry at the world because people aren't making you happy? Disappointed when friends don't check on you? Frustrated when your partner doesn't read your mind? Bitter when life doesn't hand you the joy you think you deserve? I need you to hear something that might sting at first, but will ultimately set you free. Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's most radical philosophers, had a brutal truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Nobody owes you happiness. Not your parents, not your friends, not your romantic partner, not society, not even God. Nobody. And I know that sounds harsh. I know your mind is probably already fighting back, coming up with exceptions, with reasons why certain people should care about your well-being. But stay with me, because what he understood about human nature, about strength, about the creation of meaning, is about to completely transform how you see yourself and your place in the world. This isn't about becoming cold or disconnected. This is about discovering a power so profound that once you tap into it, you'll never again feel small, dependent, or at the mercy of other people's moods. According to Nietzsche, no one can construct for you the bridge upon which precisely you must cross the stream of life, no one but you yourself alone. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what he meant by that, and why the moment you stop expecting others to be responsible for your emotional state is the moment you become truly free. By the end of this, you'll understand why your happiness was never meant to be anyone else's job, and more importantly, why that's the most empowering realization you'll ever have. But here's what makes this different from every other piece of advice you've heard about self-reliance. He wasn't talking about just being independent. He was talking about something far more radical. He was talking about becoming what he called the Übermensch, the person who creates their own values, their own meaning, their own happiness from nothing but their own will to power. This isn't about settling for less or lowering your expectations. This is about becoming so internally powerful that you become a source of light rather than someone who needs others to shine on you. The first thing you need to understand is that your expectation that others should make you happy is actually a form of weakness that he called slave morality. Now, before you get defensive, hear me out. Slave morality, according to him, is when you base your worth and well-being on external factors, on how others treat you, on whether the world is fair to you. It's reactive rather than creative. It says, I will be happy when others make me happy. I will feel valuable when others validate me. I will be okay when my circumstances change. But master morality, the philosophy of the strong, says something completely different. It says, I create my own happiness. I determine my own worth. I am the author of my own story. Nietzsche believed that truly powerful people don't wait for happiness to be delivered to them. They forge it themselves, like a blacksmith shapes metal with fire and hammer. They understand that depending on others for your emotional state is not love or connection. It's a subtle form of slavery. Think about it this way. Every time you get upset because someone didn't text you back, you're giving them power over your emotional state. Every time you feel hurt because a friend didn't invite you somewhere, you're making them responsible for your sense of belonging. Every time you feel unloved because your partner isn't being affectionate enough, you're putting the keys to your happiness in their pocket. And he would tell you that this is exactly backwards. This is you choosing to be weak when you could choose to be strong. Now I can hear what you're thinking. But humans are social creatures. We need connection. We need love. And you're absolutely right. But there's a massive difference between needing connection and making other people responsible for your happiness. There's a difference between appreciating love and demanding it as if it's owed to you. He understood that the strongest, most magnetic people are those who love and connect from a place of overflow, not from a place of emptiness trying to be filled. When you stop expecting others to make you happy, something magical happens. You start becoming the kind of person others actually want to be around. Because here's what most people don't realize about human nature. We are drawn to those who don't need us, but choose us. We are attracted to those who are complete within themselves, who offer their presence as a gift rather than a demand. Nietzsche called this the will to power, not power over others, but power over yourself, your reactions, your emotional state, your inner world. The second insight that will change everything for you is understanding what he meant when he said God is dead. Now, whether you're religious or not, this isn't really about theology. It's about the death of external authority over your inner life. For centuries, humans have looked outside themselves for meaning, for purpose, for happiness. We've looked to gods, to parents, to society, to relationships, to careers, to possessions. But he saw that in the modern world, we would eventually have to face the terrifying and liberating truth that no external authority can give our lives meaning. We have to create it ourselves. This is both the most frightening and the most empowering realization a human being can have. It's frightening because it means you can't blame anyone else for your unhappiness anymore. You can't say, if only my parents had been different, or if only I had better friends, or if only my partner understood me better. It means you are completely and utterly responsible for your own emotional experience. But it's empowering because it means your happiness is not dependent on anyone else's behavior, mood, or decisions. It means you are free. According to him, this process is called becoming who you are. Oh, not becoming who others want you to be, not becoming who society expects, but stripping away all the external expectations and demands until you find your authentic core. And at that core, you don't find neediness or dependence. You find what he called amor fati, the love of fate, the ability to not just accept your life as it is, but to love it, to embrace it completely, to say yes to every moment without needing it to be different. But here's the disturbing truth about happiness that Nietzsche discovered. And this will make you question everything you believe about love and relationships. When you stop making others responsible for your happiness, you actually become much better at relationships. Because instead of approaching people with hidden demands and expectations, you approach them with genuine curiosity and appreciation. Instead of keeping score of who's giving what, you give freely because you want to, not because you need something in return. Instead of being hurt every time someone doesn't behave the way you want, you see their behavior as information about them, not as a verdict on your worth. Think about the most magnetic person you know. I guarantee they have this quality. They're happy to see you, but they don't fall apart if you're not available. They love spending time with people, but they're also completely comfortable alone. They care about others, but they don't make other people's moods responsible for their own emotional state. They have what he would call sovereign independence, the ability to stand alone in their own power while still being capable of deep connection. The third transformation that happens when you embrace this philosophy is that you stop being a victim of circumstances. He despised what he called the victim mentality, not because he lacked compassion, but because he understood that seeing yourself as a victim of other people's behavior keeps you powerless. When you believe that your happiness depends on how others treat you, you become reactive, defensive, always at the mercy of forces outside your control. But when you take full responsibility for your own emotional state, you become what he called a creator of values. You decide what matters to you. You decide what kind of person you want to be. You decide how you want to respond to whatever life throws at you. You stop waiting for the world to change and you start changing yourself. Here's a practical example. Let's say your best friend has been distant lately. The old you might have spent hours analyzing what you did wrong, feeling hurt that they're not reaching out, maybe even getting angry that they don't seem to care about the friendship anymore. You might have demanded explanations, tried to force conversations, or withdrawn in hurt protest. All of that energy would be focused on trying to control their behavior and make them responsible for your emotional security. But the person who understands this philosophy would handle this completely differently. They would first ask themselves, am I being the kind of friend I want to be, regardless of how they're behaving? They would reach out if they genuinely wanted to connect, not to demand attention. They would give their friend space to go through whatever they're going through without making it about themselves. And most importantly, they would not let their friend's distance affect their own sense of worth or happiness. This doesn't mean being cold or uncaring. It means being strong enough to love without attachment, to care without desperation, to offer yourself without losing yourself. He called this the great health, the ability to remain internally stable, regardless of external chaos. Now let's talk about what this looks like in romantic relationships, because this is where most people struggle the most with this concept. When you make your partner responsible for your happiness, the relationship becomes transactional. You're constantly keeping score. Did they text enough today? Did they show enough affection? Did they prioritize you over their friends? Are they making you feel loved enough? And every perceived shortcoming becomes evidence that they don't care about you enough. But when you take responsibility for your own happiness, something beautiful happens. You love your partner because you choose to, not because you need them to make you feel complete. You appreciate what they give, rather than resenting what they don't give. You become secure enough in yourself that you can weather their bad moods, their busy periods, their need for space, without making it mean anything about your relationship or your worth. He believed that love is not consolation, it is light. When you love from a place of internal strength rather than internal need, you become a source of light in the relationship rather than someone who needs their partner to constantly reassure and illuminate you. And paradoxically, this makes you infinitely more attractive and lovable. The fourth insight that will revolutionize your life is understanding what he called eternal recurrence. He posed a thought experiment. What if you had to live your exact life over and over again for eternity? Every moment of pain, every disappointment, every time someone let you down, every period of loneliness or struggle, would you be able to say yes to that life? Would you be able to love it completely? This isn't about becoming passive or accepting bad treatment from others. It's about developing such a strong relationship with yourself that you can find meaning and even joy in your life, regardless of how others behave. It's about becoming so internally resourceful that you can create happiness, purpose, and fulfillment from your own will and creativity. Most people live their entire lives waiting for external circumstances to align perfectly before they allow themselves to be truly happy. They wait for the right relationship, the right job, the right amount of money, the right level of recognition from others. But he understood that this kind of waiting is actually a form of cowardice. It's avoiding the responsibility of creating your own meaning. The strong person, the one who embodies what he called noble values, creates their own happiness regardless of circumstances. They find ways to grow from rejection, to learn from disappointment, to build strength from struggle. They don't need life to be easy or fair or kind. They make it meaningful through their own interpretation and response. This is where his philosophy becomes truly practical. Every time you catch yourself feeling upset because someone isn't meeting your expectations, you have a choice. You can continue down the path of resentment and victimhood, making their behavior responsible for your emotional state. Or you can ask yourself, how can I respond to this in a way that makes me stronger? How can I use this as an opportunity to practice independence? How can I create my own happiness right now, regardless of what they're doing? Write in the comments, I create my own happiness, and say it like you're taking back your power from everyone you've been expecting to fill your emotional voids. But here's what I need you to understand about this transformation. It's not about becoming isolated or self-sufficient to the point of loneliness. He wasn't advocating for emotional coldness or disconnection from others. He was advocating for what he called the highest form of love, love that comes from strength rather than weakness, love that gives rather than takes, love that enhances rather than depends. When you stop making others responsible for your happiness, you actually become capable of much deeper, more authentic relationships. Because now you're connecting with people because you genuinely enjoy them, not because you need them to fix something inside you. You're offering your presence as a gift rather than a transaction. The fifth and perhaps most powerful transformation is what he called the transvaluation of values. This means completely reversing how you think about strength and weakness, independence and connection, happiness and suffering. Most people think that needing others to make you happy is a sign of being loving and connected, but he would tell you it's actually a sign of spiritual weakness. Real strength is being so complete within yourself that you can offer love freely without expecting anything in return. Real connection comes when two sovereign individuals choose to share their lives, not when two half-people desperately try to become whole through each other. Real happiness is created from within through your own will, creativity, and interpretation of life, not received from others like a gift you're owed. Think about water. Water is incredibly powerful, not because it's hard, but because it's self-contained and fluid. It doesn't need anything external to be what it is. It can enhance any container it's placed in, but it never loses its essential nature. It can nourish others, but it doesn't become depleted by giving. That's the kind of emotional independence he was pointing toward. And here's something most people miss about this philosophy. When you stop expecting others to make you happy, you often discover that they start wanting to. There's something deeply attractive about a person who doesn't need you but chooses you anyway. There's something magnetic about someone who is complete within themselves but still enjoys sharing that completeness with others. The weak person demands, "Make me happy, prove that you love me, show me that I matter." The strong person offers, "I am happy, and I'd love to share that happiness with you. I love myself, and I have love to give you too. I know I matter, and I see that you matter as well." Can you feel the difference in energy between those two approaches? One is depleting and demanding. The other is nourishing and generous. One comes from scarcity and fear. The other comes from abundance and strength. Subscribe if you're ready to stop being everyone's emotional project and start becoming your own masterpiece. Now, here's where this philosophy intersects with one of his most misunderstood concepts: the will to power. Most people think this means dominating others, but that's exactly backwards. The will to power is about mastering yourself, your reactions, your interpretations, your responses. It's about having so much internal strength that you don't need to control others to feel secure. The person with true will to power doesn't need others to behave in specific ways to maintain their emotional equilibrium. They don't need constant reassurance, validation, or attention. They create their own sense of worth through their actions, their growth, their commitment to their own values. They become what he called a law unto themselves. This is perhaps the most radical idea in all of philosophy, that you can become so internally sovereign that your happiness, your peace, your sense of purpose become completely independent of how others treat you. Not because you don't care about others, but because you care about yourself enough to take full responsibility for your own emotional experience. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop needing others to make you happy, you often find yourself surrounded by people who genuinely want to contribute to your happiness. When you stop demanding love, you often receive it more freely. When you stop keeping score, others stop feeling like they're in debt to you. When you become emotionally self-sufficient, you become the kind of person others feel safe being vulnerable with. But the most profound transformation happens in how you see yourself. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who needs to be saved, fixed, or completed by others, you start seeing yourself as someone who is already whole, already valuable, already capable of creating meaning and joy. You stop being a character in other people's stories and start being the author of your own. According to him, what does not kill me makes me stronger. But I think what he really meant is, what I choose not to let kill me, what I choose to learn from and grow through, what I choose to use as fuel for my own becoming, makes me stronger. Because even that famous quote is about choice, about taking responsibility for how you respond to what life gives you. So the next time someone disappoints you, the next time a friend is too busy to hang out, the next time your partner seems distant, the next time you feel like the world isn't giving you what you need, remember this: nobody owes you happiness. Not because the world is cruel or because people don't care, but because happiness was never meant to be something you receive from others. It was meant to be something you create from within and then share generously with the world. Your happiness is your responsibility, your project, your masterpiece. Others can appreciate it, enjoy it, even contribute to it, but they can never be the source of it. Because when you become the source of your own happiness, you become unstoppable. You become free. You become what he called a creator of values, someone who doesn't wait for the world to give them meaning, but who creates meaning through their own will and vision. And that, my friends, is the most empowering realization you will ever have. That your happiness was never anyone else's job. And that's exactly why you have the power to create it right now, today, regardless of who's in your life or how they're treating you. Type in the comments, "My happiness is my responsibility." If you're ready to stop making your emotional state everyone else's problem and start becoming the creator of your own joy. This is not about becoming cold, isolated, or independent to the point of loneliness. This is about becoming so warm, so complete, so internally generative that you become a gift to everyone around you rather than a burden or a demand. This is about loving from strength rather than neediness, connecting from choice rather than desperation, living from creation rather than consumption. Because ultimately, he understood something that most people spend their entire lives avoiding, that the strongest, happiest, most magnetic people are not those who have learned how to get others to make them happy, but those who have learned how to make themselves happy and then share that happiness freely with the world.